All right, guys, thanks for getting on tonight for the degree eval portion of this. I'm going to cover a few things, primarily talking about what your degree is made up of. There's so many of you in so many different majors that I'm going to be talking in very general terms. So it's up to you to kind of look over things as I go on your own degree eval. And if you don't have it in front of you, try to get to it in the next day or two or later tonight and take a look at it. I need you to then send it to me. Email is great. A paper slid under my door is fine. Again, I'm one to not waste paper if we don't have to, but love to see anything that you think looks odd. And likely things might look a little odd. And Leonard, I always say, is our unsung hero from the registrar's department. He's the guy who does our certifications. Leonard is on with us. He's at his daughter's violin practice, so we might hear some music in the background, which would be great. But Leonard will jump in and kind of support some things I say or add some things to it. But he would tell you that we're in a very slow process of changing away from the degree eval and banner to something called DegreeWorks. It'll be great, way better, much easier to see all the percentages and things we're looking at, but it's not done yet. So what I think is happening in some advisor worlds is that rather than put in substitutions for the things that should be substituted on your current degree eval, they're like, I'll just wait for DegreeWorks. But we still have banner, so Leonard needs to have those things be right when he looks to run them. We're looking to make sure your percentages and your classes and everything are counting correctly prior to next fall when we need to certify your eligibility again. So the reason to have this meeting now is to make sure where you're going to be at the end of this semester, and then also see if you had to, needed to, wanted to take a summer class to get to percentage or get to the GPA you need for eligibility. But sometimes that GPA is more about scholarship stuff, right? So we'll talk about all of that. Let me share my slides that I never spend much time on because I jump around so much. I'm going to just stay on this view. I know because I need to get in and out of it. So if you had your degree eval pulled up, I know that might not be easy to see right now if you're on one computer. There are different sections on there, right? So it breaks it down usually with the major requirements first. Prior to that, if you're looking at your degree eval, it's going to have hours, total hours that you need, and GPA requirements. So I will click over. Are you guys seeing, did I click over into a degree eval? Or do you still see my slideshow?
You're on a degree eval.
Okay, I'm on it. Thank you. Just want to make sure I wasn't talking about things you couldn't see. So you'll see things like major requirements. This example I have is an accounting major. So he's still got some major courses to finish. And then if you're a business major, not all of you are obviously, you might have this section called Common Body of Knowledge. You can see here it's saying it's not met. He's close. He's got 41 out of the 45, right? If we go back up and see these totals, we can see he's actually got 121 hours. So it seems like he should graduate, right? But we also then have to note that he still isn't meeting all the requirements, right? He's got more hours than he needs after this semester, but he still hasn't finished his accounting degree. So that's the type of thing we need to see and count up hours and make sure you're meeting the NCAA's requirements for progress towards degree. So we can't just take this 121 out of 120 and trust that it's right. We have to subtract out anything that's not being counted towards the degree. So I know, and you might know, how many hours of elective credit you're allowed, right? So we can see here, the required in this major is 21. The required Common Body of Knowledge is 45. Arts and Sciences doesn't give us a number. It'd be nice if they did. But he's got all of that met. I know that I think it's 45. So that leaves us non-program electives. So when we're looking at our degree eval, what I want you to do for me at some point is take a hard look at this section and maybe at other sections too above there. But let me know if anything looks fishy in here. Okay, so we can ask your advisor. Most of the time, my advice would be to ask your primary advisor about this. So if you haven't had your meeting yet for pre-reg for next fall, that'd be a good opportunity to bring this up and say, hey, I had a meeting, we looked at our degree evals. Why is this BTM course 2500 down in non-program electives? Because I thought I needed that for my major. Well, I know that business has changed that number from BTM 2500. It used to be ITM 2500. So that should be substituted. This should be, BTM should be up here and it should be counted, but it's not right now. So we'd like to have that show properly. So when we run the degree eval to see if you're eligible, we want all that to be right. So if you have that on your degree eval, definitely talk to your primary advisor about that. The other one here, he's registered in a course, 3-credit course, fixed income securities and markets, I assume. Finance 3330, that's a non-program elective. Why is he taking that? Shouldn't he be taking one of these accounting classes, right? So that's the question I would have. Now, he might say, oh, I'm gonna add a finance minor, and because I've got another year of eligibility because of COVID, so that's why it's there. Like, again, you might know why it's there, but then that prompts you in this meeting to make sure you file the paperwork with your primary advisor to get your minor declared, right? So doing all these little things so that your degree is correct come next fall is important to do now, so that I'm not hounding you in the summer saying, hey, why didn't you do this before you left campus? It's really hard for you to file the paperwork to change your major now that you're not here. You need to get the paper to the advisor. So it's not impossible, but it's just much easier if you're here. So we want to have these meetings now so you take account of that. I mentioned that you have to meet certain rules, right? So here's the NCAA rules. Anything I bring up in here, except for my slideshow, I'm going to send a link to so that you guys have access to it. And I'll make notes about all of the things I'm saying that matter about your degree eval and summer and all of it. But I'll mention here, academic requirements for the NCAA change from year to year. So you can see here that prior to your second year of enrollment, in terms of annual or percentage of degree requirements, we're looking at that. That's what your degree eval, we're doing the math on that, right? You, as a freshman, you have to have completed at least 24 semester hours. We aren't on quarters, but you have to have at least 24 credit hours. That should be no problem because everybody was registered in 12 in the fall at least, and at least 12 in the spring. Sometimes people drop classes, sometimes people fail classes. It happens. If that's the case, if you aren't going to have 24 credit hours as a freshman, you need to take summer class, right, to get there. That could be at SLU, it could be through a junior college back home or something. You just got to get those hours at least 24. There are additional requirements, fairly minimal. You have to pass at least 6 credit hours per semester, 18 in the academic year. So between fall and spring, at least 18, and then total of 24, including the summer prior to next fall. So freshmen, that's your goal. This is all new meeting to you. Everybody else should be old news here. Prior to third year, percentage says you have to have at least 40% of your degree complete. Those percentages are typically 40% of 120, right, is 48. And all you math majors out there knew that before I said it. But 40% of 120 is 48. So that goes on that same pattern, right? You had to have at least 24 going into year 2, at least 48 going into year 3. However, we should have more than that, right? We shouldn't be on this 5-year plan that the NCAA allows for. We want to have at least 50% done heading into year 3, and so on. Now, those percentages are based on your degree. So not every degree is 120. Some of our health majors are 121, 124, 125. I think our PT folks that are on here, you guys know yours is like 134. Somebody might correct me on the chat. My numbers are sometimes forgotten. But you can see then as you go, you need to meet these percentages towards degree. If you are a started at SLU, never left, never changed majors kind of person, you're really bored right now because you're going to meet these percentages, no problem. We have this meeting partially for transfers, people that change their major. If you're considering changing your major, make sure you talk to me about it before you do it. I have a lot of people who like to just change majors. It's likely to affect these percentages and your eligibility. So make sure if you're if you're a freshman or sophomore right now, and thinking like, boy, this isn't really what I want, I'd like to have a conversation about that before we do it. If you're a business major and you're in marketing and you're like, well, I think I really want to switch to accounting, that's no problem. Generally the same requirements. A lot of the core classes are all would have done at this point. If you're thinking I want to change from accounting to biomedical engineering, we got a problem. So it's hard to jump from some schools, from one college to another, especially. So if you're going sort of from most things to arts and sciences usually allows for more electives, things like psychology, sociology, criminal justice, all that stuff. It's usually easier to go that way. It's harder to go from those up to a more specific, more restrictive major. I also want to note here the grade point average requirements from year to year should be easy to achieve. Freshman, you have to have at least a 1.8 on a 2.0 minimum. Where do we get that 2.0 from? That is from your degree requirements, what you have to have your GPA be for graduation. Most degrees, it's 2.0. Some degrees, such as our friend who is an accounting major, is actually 2.7. A lot of health sciences, again, are 2.5. I'm trying to think of who our winner is. I think the highest used to be accounting, but I think maybe education. Leonard, correct me. I think education actually jumped up to like a 2.8 or 2.9 or something. So your percentage of that is based on.
I think speech and sorry, Roy. I think the speech language and hearing sciences. I think it's a 3.0.
Oh man. Okay. Good luck.
I think it's a 3.0.
That's the
highest.
That's the high one. So know what yours is. It's probably on your degree eval. I will note, much like, oh wait, why is this class here? I question on this one, why is this accounting major only a 2.5? This is an odd one. I wouldn't expect this to be a problem, but it's 2.7. It's not 2.5. So maybe double check that. Check with your primary advisor. Hey, is this right? Is my degree eval right on the number of GPA requirement? So we check that too. Again, you're not the only one involved. Me and Leonard and your primary advisor are working on this as well, but we don't want anything to slip through the cracks. So we need you to be actively involved. And again, as I said, go over your eval. Normally on paper, I'd say circle and put a star next to that class that's in non-program electives that shouldn't be, or why is it there? In this case, hopefully you can attach or you could copy, drag, copy, and paste the degree eval into an email to me. That's fine. Or you could download it somehow and then upload it, attach it to an email to me. But I want you to note, like in your email, hey, this one, will you look at this class, Roy? What do you think about this? I may get Leonard involved if it's odd enough. And there's also things like you took a summer class last year before, right? Because your advisor said, yeah, that'll count. And then it's not showing up on your degree eval as your advisor said. Hopefully you have an email in writing that that's what was said. And hopefully your advisor hasn't moved on, the one that said it. But ideally we can get that class to show properly. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, this theology is the same thing as our theology or our philosophy. And they told you that and they approved it, but it's not showing up that way. We want to know about that too, so we can get it fixed. Any questions over that? Again, maybe pop it into the chat. Maybe Mary will kind of monitor the chat for me. I kind of hit on most of my slides. Like I said, I don't generally stick to them, but I just want to go back and make sure I didn't miss too much and then move along as well. The next thing I had in my slides was grad students. So this is where, again, it could get tricky with COVID, right? So some people might be staying around for another year. It's not maybe as common, but if that's something you're doing, you're looking into grad schools and you're going to be here at SLU, the requirement on hours is less, but again, you're doing more in those grad courses generally. So the minimum number of hours you have to be in is 6 hours. So undergrad students have to be in at least 12, grad have to be in at least 6 to be eligible. The GPA requirement there for grad students is generally, again, based on what you have to keep in your program. But that 3.0, it's typically 3.0, maybe higher in a grad program. So that GPA keeps you eligible, the one you have to stay in the program. Much like changing your major, make sure you contact me before you withdraw from a class. I didn't change my slides. I'm glad I'm in the editing portion. We changed it, right? May 8th, Sunday, May 8th. Make sure that's the right day. I'll send the right date in my email, I promise. Yep, May 8th. So they moved it way back, just like they did last semester. COVID, it's been rough. I agree. Give us a break. So you may not be considering dropping something now. Some people have been and asked me, but make sure you check with me first before you withdraw from a class. My suggestion right now is probably to stay in it, unless it's something that's overloading you with work and you're like, I can't do well in my other classes because this one class that I'm not doing well in is consuming all my time. That might be a reason to drop now. But if you're kind of, I don't know, I might wait until end of April and then make a decision. Try to keep the, get the credit that you have, you could get in the end, because you're almost halfway, more than halfway done with the course already. So that extended deadline is good for us. As I said, talk to me about major change. I'll note there, if you're in your sophomore year and you're like, man, I have made a total mistake, I do not want to do this anymore. And we have a conversation that, you know what, you can't be eligible in the major you want to do. We can file a waiver with the NCAA and say, hey, this really good student just changed their mind and doesn't want to be this thing anymore. So they're going to switch over. Again, there's a bunch of paperwork to do. You get to see Enrique a lot, which is awesome. But that is possible. Don't, just suffer through some program you don't like or don't want to do. Make life choices that are best for you, not just because of NCAA percentages. So come talk to me about it and we'll figure it out. I had somebody on another team who already did that. And I'm like, well, you're probably not going to get to percentage, but you should do the thing you are really excited about doing. If you're repeating a course, so this might be something you would choose to do to improve your GPA. So if you're on that eligibility 2.0 bubble, or you're on the scholarship 3.0 bubble, you can boost your GPA higher, not just by taking a new class, but by repeating an old class that you did poorly in. So again, not necessary, not recommended all the time, but if you wanted to get up over 3.0 or way over 3.0 and you got a D in a class, right? I'd like to know you're going to do that. And so when we add up the hours each semester to say, okay, well, they're going to get up to this percentage, we want to know that that class actually doesn't count because you've already taken it, right? You've already gotten credit for it. It's just you're trying to do the GPA. So I'd like to know about that. Note here that whatever grade you get the second time is what goes on your transcript. So if you got a D the first time and then you're struggling again and you fail it, you'll get the F. The F will replace the D. So don't let that happen. More importantly, again, if you're going to do that repeat, it has to be done through SLU in order to boost the GPA. If you needed the requirement, right? Let's say you failed the class at SLU and you wanted to take that class at a JUCO over the summer, it could come in as the requirement that you need, but it wouldn't replace the F that you got. If you take it through SLU and you do better the second time, the F would be replaced by whatever grade you got and boost your GPA. So again, know that distinction's there. Current academic sophomores, you must declare your major, and it says and/or concentration before next fall. So if any of you are undecided in arts and sciences and are maybe heading somewhere, we just haven't filled out the paperwork, do the paperwork now, because we have to have that done to run the percentage prior to fall. So if you're a sophomore and you have not declared your major yet, do so as soon as possible so that we can have that correct degree to run the percentage against. Hopefully you've been tracking towards that degree, but you just have to make sure the paperwork's done and it's on your record. If you're thinking of, again, switching majors, of course, talk to me about it. And we would want to do that before fall, or maybe wait. We need to decide about when to make that major change. So talking about that. As it says here, concentration, a few majors have a concentration. So communication is the prime example in my head. You might be declared, or you could be declared as an undecided business major. So you might be like, I'm business, right? I'm taking all those business classes. Well, you have to pick marketing, accounting, entrepreneurship. One of those majors has to be declared prior to sophomore year. We can't just use business. Same way with comm, there's a concentration, journalism, comm studies, and one other I can never remember, that you have to choose from. So if you're already declared communication, that's not good enough. So please, if you haven't done that, you do that with your primary advisor ASAP. If you're going to take summer courses at another school, I mentioned some of this already, I think, but make sure the class has been articulated. So you could ask me or your primary advisor to look that up, but you can look it up yourself in the system called Transferology. I'll send a link to that in my email. If you are going to then take a class somewhere else over the summer, you want to complete form number 7 with your advisor, regardless of whether it's been articulated before or not. So it's good to know. It's like, oh, good, this math class is the same as our, college algebra. But you need to file the paperwork so the advisor can get it submitted and get it approved and let you know, yes, let's do this. If you take it that other school, you have to get a C or better for it to transfer into SLU. A C- will not come in. We won't accept it. But as I said, the grade you get doesn't affect your GPA here at SLU. So an A and a C are essentially the same thing in size from that other school. Don't settle for the C and wind up getting a C-, like push to get the A or B so that there's no question about it coming in. But know that you don't have to kill yourself to get 100% in that class, because it doesn't matter much to your GPA. And then once that class is completed in the summer, have official transcripts sent from that school as soon as the grade posts. So we want to get that official transcript sent and processed as soon as possible so that we can do it as soon as we can prior to the school year starting, ideally. You guys have a little more time. Some of our fall sports start even before classes begin. We have to have them certified, but for you guys, you've got a little more time. I would still recommend taking a summer class in session 1, if possible, so that it's done in July. You can have the transcript sent and it's all done way before August. And that way, we can certify everything and everything will be right. Heather and I maybe will send out an email as well, asking about summer classes for you to fill out a form like, yes, I took this class and here's when it's supposed to be done. We'll send that in early summer, midsummer, to make sure we can look for that class and get the paperwork done. Summer classes at SLU, those courses are available for you to register for now since March 21st. So if you're considering a SLU course, I would go ahead and get registered in it and then drop it if you needed to, but I wouldn't wait and then not get a spot in the class you need. So if you are looking at doing a summer class, and as I said, to boost your GPA, you got to take it through SLU. And then last slide, I promised priority registration date. So that's coming up April 4th, Monday. Seniors, it's based on hours. It's not that you've been in school for 4 years. If you only have 89 hours, you're a junior. So that is hours earned as of today. It doesn't count the classes that you're in now. It's everything you've earned prior to this semester. So again, any seniors, 90 plus, and grad students would be able to register on Monday, April 4th, ahead of their non-priority seniors would be April 5th. So get in there at 7 a.m. on those dates based on your number of credit hours, not just your class. April 11th, April 21st, April 20th. If you've not met with your primary advisor regarding pre-reg, do that ASAP, because there's a hold on your account that won't allow you to register on these dates if you haven't met with your advisor. I would also say up until April 4th, if you're looking to register for a summer class and you have a hold on your account, you should be able to. but on April 4th, they flip a switch and you won't be able to register for summer if you have a hold. So ideally, you would have all holds removed and be able to register for both summer and your fall classes beginning April 4th, 11th, 21st, whatever. But take care of those holds as soon as possible. That could be financial holds, could be money you owe for tuition or whatever, or it could just be a parking ticket you didn't pay. So pay your bills, pay all that stuff so that your holds are off for that. Might be student health, could have, missing an immunization record or something they need, and they put a hold on your account and you can't register until it's taken care of. So I'll send info, I'll send steps for checking holds on Banner self-service, and look for those to see if you have any to make sure you are able to register. I think that's all I got on my degree eval. And again, I would just, I started to talk about number of electives. So as my example here for an accounting major and in business, it only allows for 9 elective credit hours. So had to transfer some classes in that prior to college probably he took that weren't going to count towards this degree, and that's fine, not a big deal. But only 9 of these 19, let me see, got a big in front. Yep, 9 of these 19 count towards the degree. So he's losing 10 there, right? So when we try to do our percentages, it's not as simple as this, but I know I can subtract 10 from this number. So in percentage wise, he's only at 111 of 120. And we know here he's got at least 3. We know this one's going to be counted for, but he's got 3 classes here. There's 9. So somewhere there's another class too. So know how your degree is structured, how many hours you have in each bucket allowed for. Again, some of the degree eval tells you, oh, required 21, 45. Some of it tells you, some of it doesn't. So it'd be nice if this arts and sciences core had a 45 there. But it's not as simple as that. Sometimes people have classes that double count, and it makes those numbers off. So we have to do that kind of manually, I suppose. But if you can do it for yourself and know, okay, I know I've got this many hours heading into this year, it'll help us too, and you'll have a good idea of percentage. Jeff Jackson, did you hop on by chance? I'm going to take that as a no. Before I finish, then I may ask Leonard before I move on to something else. Leonard, do you have anything to add or reinforce from what I said?
No, I think you covered it all. I mean, just one thing, just if you're taking a summer course at a community college, make sure you fill out Form 7. Make sure once the course is completed, you submit official transcript. The sooner we get the transcripts, the sooner we can review and process and make sure we have the most updated PTD percentage.
Awesome. Thanks, Leonard. I'm going to give you guys the Roy Tippett version of the career services stuff. I think I'm right on my 30 minutes. I did good. Actually under, because we started late. So I had 10 minutes aside for Jeff. I won't take nearly that long. So career services is a great friend of ours and a great support to all of you that we want to push for you to get involved with and connected to. So I'm going to include these 2 flyers that Jeff included in my email. I'll attach them. So again, you'll have access to these, but really just going to career services if you've never been, if you're hopefully you're not a junior or senior and that's the case, but if you've never been, get there, set up an appointment. You're assigned a career counselor based on major. And if you go into EAB Navigate and schedule an appointment, there's a thing you can click to schedule an appointment, like with me or your primary advisor. There, you'll also have the option of career services. So I highly recommend, again, and if you are on that junior senior end, get doing this as soon as possible, or keep going, right? If you've already established a relationship, don't be afraid to go back a lot and ask a lot of questions and see what's coming, right? See if there's a career fair coming, what they recommend in terms of job seekers at this point. So they want to be a resource for you, and we want to help you guys get connected to them. Handshake is a big part of what they do. So it's an online database of jobs. It connects employers in the area and all around the world to our SLU students. it also is a resource for me. I hire tutors through there and things like that. So it's everything. Anybody who wants a job or needs a job or is looking for someone to work is connected to Handshake through SLU. So if you don't already have your own Handshake profile and resume uploaded and all that, like do that as soon as make that step one. Make the account and get your info up there. It'll be a way that, again, people that are looking for students, but also, workers, but also people that are student athlete, we can sometimes pinpoint down to that you're student athlete. So a lot of employers want student athletes because they know the time management, organization skills you have, the teamwork skills you have, all those things that you do kind of thoughtlessly and that you're being coached to do. Those things are going to be really valuable in the work world. They do, again, mock interviews. If you're nervous about that interview, go do 2 or 3 of those, right? Practice makes perfect. Just the way you practice swimming every day, you've got to practice those skills. So just winging it doesn't work in the job seeker world. Again, get your resume, cover letter reviewed. All these things are great. We've also got this tool here, again, depending on what year you're at. It's a good checklist, including here's Handshake in year 1. So again, you can find your year, and hopefully if you're in year 3, you would have done all of this stuff already. You see Handshake keeps repeating, right? But a great tool here to kind of check things off and say, well, okay, I'm doing pretty good, or boy, I better catch up. I got some work to do. Let me schedule an appointment with somebody. Let me get on Handshake. Just get started with that process so that you're more prepared for when it matters. If you're a freshman right now, it doesn't feel like it matters, right? It feels like, oh my God, I don't need a job for 4 years. That's way off in the future. It goes by in the blink of an eye. Jim can tell you, I feel like TJ Halliburton just started here yesterday and now he's gone making more money than me. It's not fair, and probably everybody on this call. But it goes quick. So get started. Never too late to get started. Never too early to get started on this process. And I think, again, Jeff would tell you it's a great partnership we have with them. If you've been on any of our Zooms and things recently for Career Services, Aaron Peliquin was our main connection, but he actually took another position somewhere else. So I guess he knew how to get jobs. He got a different job. So we'll have another new support person directly tied to athletics that will do some of those events with us. But as I said, your primary contact is somebody that is through your major. So use those resources and get connected to that person as soon as possible. Any questions over any of that? Thanks for being an attentive audience. I saw all the heads nodding and smiles. Yep, there's Molly. Molly was nodding a lot. Good job. There's Sal. What's up, Sal? Okay, I will turn it over to somebody else. I'm not sure who. I think I will stop the recording though. Nobody else needs the rest of this recorded, right? All right, I'm gonna hit stop